all of my listening audience that are sharing with us all around the world. I hope you're having a happy, merry Monday today. And happy MLK Day today is Dr. Martin Luther King Day on today. And we are celebrating, of course, history in the making.
Yes.
And for everybody that have paved the way thus far where we are today. And for those of you that have paid for all of the sacrifices for our country and all of the sacrifices for our history, we salute you on this morning. We're in the show live today in the studio with the blessing Michelle Hubbard, Pastor Michelle Hubbard, the anointed woman of God. Thank you for gracing our presence on this morning.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're
I'm glad to
quite
be
welcome.
here.
I am glad that you're here too, my love. I am so glad that you're here. Michelle, you know, we were talking all season long, and we're going into the second phase. This is our second segment of 'Tis the Season. Right now, season is changing, of course. You know,
Of course.
The season is changing. But we want to deal with those hard topics. Of course, we talked about stress. We talked about depression, and we're trying to meet people from all walks of life all around the world. And I am so glad that you're coming to share with us on today. Guess what, you guys? Lonely but not alone. That's what we're talking about on today. Lonely but not alone, with the one and only, the anointed Pastor Michelle Hubbard. So, Michelle, why don't you introduce yourself to Radio Land and those all around the world, and Facebook Live and all our social media outlets, and let them know exactly who you are and what you do.
Good morning and happy Monday to all of our friends and family out there watching and listening. My name is Michelle Hubbard. In the Lord's Church, I'm an elder. By profession, I'm just a preschool director, preschool educator. I'm a mom, a daughter, a sister, a grandmom, a TD for Macy and Camille out there who are probably screaming and hollering in their mama's car right about now. I'm just a regular person. I love people. I love God, and I'm just privileged that He called me to the work that I do.
Yes, yes. And He called you, Michelle, for such a time as this. She is a watchman on the wall, laboring on the altar all the time, in season and out of season. And God is just using you mightily, woman of God. I know this is Real Talk with Mary Jae. We're going to keep it real. But I have to let them know who you are, an intercessor as well. Michelle, on today, we're talking about lonely, girl.
Exhale, huh?
Yeah. One more time. But not alone.
Yes.
But not alone. Let's deal with that subject on today. Let's gel.
Lonely
Let's gel.
but not alone.
Lonely but not alone.
Loneliness is a real common emotion that a lot of people go through, depending on how long it lingers and
Right.
and how intense it is. You may need to seek some professional help, but typically
Yes.
loneliness is rooted in feelings of isolation.
That's right.
A lot of times people think loneliness is the absence of people, but
Right.
I can speak from experience. You can be surrounded
Yes.
by people. People tell me all the time, oh, people are always around. You're always at church, you're always at school, you have all the kids, the family, but that doesn't exclude you from experiencing those times of loneliness, because
Right.
if you're constantly around people who you're feeding and ministering to and uplifting and pulling, and you're never being fed and uplifted and
That's right.
and affirm yourself, it's easy to fall into a place of isolation, being
Yeah.
surrounded by folk but
Right.
still being lonely.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
You know, all that you pour out,
Yes.
you become an empty vessel because you continue to pour and pour and pour.
Exactly.
And you need an infilling. You need someone to pour back in.
Exactly.
And Michelle, you know that place called loneliness, that place of isolation, many times we are there because of so much that we give. And in giving all that we give and not reciprocating, not getting that back, not having that oil poured back in unless it comes from the anointed one, the Messiah, but just giving away so much to the people in prayer and counseling and encouragement and comfort and empowerment, and then you feel depleted.
Exactly.
So, you know, Jesus was lonely.
Exactly.
After he went through, you know, the Bible says that when he came out in Matthew 4, when he came out of the wilderness, then the angels of the Lord came and ministered unto him.
Yes.
You know, so we're going to talk about being lonely, Michelle. but not alone. You said something when you said, a lot of times you find yourself in that place, because you've given away so much.
Right.
And one thing about it, let me say this, when we are there because of us, and we have to deal with us, and sometimes we have to be so strong for everybody else around us because they look to us, right?
Right.
They look to us to be the encourager, the informer,
Right.
the one that's going to comfort and pour into them. So now we're in that place now, and we're alone.
Right. I've learned some really significant things very later on in my life. I wish I would have learned them much earlier.
Right.
I probably wouldn't have made many of the mistakes I made.
Yes.
Good friend of mine, Pastor John White, out in Houston, shout out to Deuce, wherever you are today. He said something to me in conversation. We were preparing sermons and we were cross-checking notes and talking about a few things. And one of his sermon points was, you have to leave somewhere to get somewhere. And that seed was dropped down in my spirit. And one day I was feeling really bad recently. And that came up in my spirit, and I heard the Lord saying to me, how long do you want to feel this way? And then I heard it, you have to leave somewhere to get somewhere. So to leave depression or loneliness or isolation behind, you've got to oftentimes leave it, take the initiative, make the first steps, because a lot of times we sit around and wait for people and things to get us to a place that we have the power within to get ourselves to. We have to guard ourselves and protect our hearts from those moments of isolation, because that's when we're most vulnerable. That's when we make our worst mistakes.
Choices.
I look back over my life, and this is real talk, right?
Yeah, it's definitely real talk.
Some of the worst decisions I made in dating and relationships, I was lonely. I wasn't feeling like Superwoman, empowered, I could take on the world. I wasn't confident, and guess what? I attracted that same broken person, that didn't add anything to my life. In fact, took more than I could afford to give away. Which left me in a worse place than what I was in the beginning. So I wish I'd have known then that I'm in control of my emotions. Nobody can make me feel any kind of way. And when I detect or when I sense those feelings, to take the positive steps I need to take to get myself out of that place, because I can move myself.
That's right.
I can get out of that spot.
That's right. And just being there and understanding how you got there. Sometimes when you're there, you wake up and you was like, what in the world? what was I thinking?
The problem was we weren't thinking,
Right.
A lot of times we're operating in our emotions, and emotions are great, but they shouldn't drive our decision making.
That's right.
You got to make logical choices for your
That's
life,
right.
decisions that you can live with.
Yes.
Not have to always deal with the consequences, but you can deal with the rewards
That's right.
of making good decisions.
That's right. And I'm telling you, and it's a long, hard road sometimes. I'm telling you, it's no joke.
I'm 45, and I
Yeah.
feel like, God, why don't you just give me a redo switch or rewind a couple of things I know now.
Yeah.
I wish I could just give me a do-over. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have picked him. I wouldn't have said that.
Right.
I wouldn't have gone here, but thank God for his grace.
Absolutely.
Thank God
It's
for his grace.
sufficient. It is definitely sufficient. So we're talking about lonely, you guys, but not alone. And, one thing about being lonely and being isolated, as Michelle said, feeling depleted, feeling like you poured out everything, you've given all of you, and so got so little in return, and you feel yourself despondent at times. But we're going to talk about that too on today, because we know that we're talking to some woman, some man that is there right now. You're in that cave, you're in that lonely place. Of course, you're camouflaged. You put on a whole good show for everybody else.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. But but there's the time that you have to sit by yourself and take a good look at yourself and say, okay,
Right.
what's really going on?
Right, and be honest with yourself.
Right.
Own your own stuff.
Yes.
Deal with your own trash and baggage.
That's right.
Because you can't leave that place until you tell yourself the truth that I'm in a bad place.
Right.
As long as you lie to yourself and say it's okay here,
It's all right.
you're going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, we learn, you know, especially in the church culture, fake it till you make it. That
Right.
sounds good in theory, but psychologically it's not good for your state of mind.
Right.
If you can't be real with anybody else, you got to be real
With yourself.
with yourself.
Definitely.
Tell yourself the truth when you look in that mirror.
Definitely. We're talking about lonely and not alone. All of our social media network friends that are out there, I know you've been in that place, and some of us are still in that place right now. We want to deal with it in a more applicable way on today. We want you to call into our station on today at 504-341-8255. That's 504-341-TALK. We want to hear from you. If you're in that lonely place or if you have any questions on today, call and dial into the studio today, and we're going to help you get through. We're going to help you get through and come out of that. Lonely but not alone, dealing with it in a real way. Michelle, I'm reminded of, just as you said, those decisions, that those choices that we make. Oh my God.
Yes.
If we can rewind the hand of time. But the good thing in it all is the lesson that we learn in it.
Yes.
The lesson that we learn. And if we
Right.
take heed to the lessons that are learned, we're able to go into and step into that new season just a little bit stronger,
Right.
just a little bit wiser, knowing, nah, not this time.
Right.
I'm not falling for the okie doke. No, not this time.
Yes.
Been there, done that. That looks familiar to me, but no, not this time.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you really reach a real benchmark in your growth, not only do you learn for yourself, but you share your experiences with other people to try to
Right.
prevent
That's
them
right.
from going through some of the same things
That's
that
right.
you did, especially those who are close to you. You would hate to see them go through some of the suffering emotionally
Yes.
that you went through because of poor decisions and not dealing with loneliness.
Yes, absolutely. So we're getting ready to go into a commercial break in just a few moments. Listen, guys, we don't want you to go anywhere. We want you to stay right there. Hold on, fasten your seats, because we're getting ready to take you on the bumpy road. It's going to be bumpy, but you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You're down, guess what? But you're not cast down. You're going to get back up. You're going to rise back up again, and you're going to get right back into place. We're dealing with lonely but not alone with the anointed, graceful Michelle Hubbard on today. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Don't you go anywhere. Stay right there.
Join in on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry. There are no limitations or boundaries. We talk about life, and guess what? That includes you. So download the app today, New Orleans Talk Network, and subscribe on YouTube. That's every Monday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. New Orleans Talk Network, Breaking the Silence with Dr. Patricia Fry.
Happy Merry Mondays. It's your girl, Mary Jae. I want you to tune in with me to Real Talk with Mary Jae on New Orleans Talk Network every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Then follow me to blogtalkradio.com/Real Talk with Mary Jae at 10 p.m. It's going to be a Merry Monday every Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You've just tuned into New Orleans Talk Network.
Hi, this is Jill Samuels with Faith That Works. Join us every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon on New Orleans Talk Network as we change the lives of people with the Word of God by equipping the body of Christ to evangelize the world while reconciling people back to God. Let us continue to carry the water to the desert, because Jesus is the living water.
Stop this hauling water to the sea.
Hello, this is Dr. Glenda E. Williams.
This is Charles Stewart.
Dr. Anthony Williams.
And I want to encourage you to join Church Without Walls every Monday morning from 11 a.m. to 12 noon.
And we want to encourage you to promote God's plan and not man's plan. Don't you dare miss it.
Happy Mary Monday. You tuned in to Real Talk with Mary Jae, and we're live on NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. I am your host, Mary Jae. Thank you to all of my listening audience that are sharing with us. I hope you're having a happy Mary Monday today. It is Dr. King Day. It's MLK Day. We are celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King on today in history. All of our people that have paved the way, that have brought us to this land of freedom, where we're able to be liberal in whatever it is that we want to do, empowered in our own rights, to take charge over our own life and to do what you know that you've been called and appointed to do. So I salute all of you on today. We're in the studio once again with the lovely Michelle Hubbard on today, and we're talking about lonely but not alone. So I hope you're listening and tuned in. Why don't you go ahead and share, invite, and tag someone to listen and tune in with us on today. And also you can download the app on NOTN, New Orleans Talk Network, and share with us every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Welcome back into the studio, you guys. Michelle, we're talking about lonely but not alone.
Yes.
And of course, right before commercial break, we were talking about, you know, just being in that place of isolation and being at the end of that road where you have to really, like you said, take time out and just, you know, own where you are, take responsibility
Yes.
for the errors, you
Right.
know, those bad choices that we made, and deal with it, deal with us,
Yes.
deal with us.
Yes. And in my journey, I don't think I'm close to the end yet, thank God.
Yeah.
I've discovered a few things that help turn the lights on in my darkness. The first thing I realized in that pouring out cycle that we do, especially as teachers and ministers and big sisters and
Right.
best friends,
Yeah.
I realized that I'm not a savior.
Yes.
You know, a lot of my emptiness, I gave everything I had to everybody and everything, and at the end of the day, there was nothing left for me. Not only was there nothing left for me, but there was nothing left for my family. I no longer enjoyed family moments. People see me now on Facebook with my kids and my wrecking crew, and they say, oh, your family's so, but there was a time when my kids, I don't want to use the word hate, but that relationship was really tense because there was
Resentment.
nothing there for me to give them, because I gave it all away at school. I gave it all away at work, and by the time I got to them, I was tired, and I'd start hearing statements like, you love them more than you
More,
love us.
yeah.
And I had to really do some internal work to find some type of balance, to do what I could for people, but do the very best I could for my family.
That's right.
And then still, even with them, do as much as I could, but still have something left
Some
for
time
me.
for yourself. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
It's a
important.
fragile, complicated existence, but
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes a whole lot of just reflecting,
Yes.
taking time back, you know, to reflect. And I said before, a lot of times when we are going through, because we're going through to come out.
Right.
But sometimes as we go through in our taking care of this while handling that, and, you know, making sure that we
Right.
dot that I, we cross that T, you know.
Right.
We've gotten these ducks in a row. And a lot of times, just as you said, we find ourselves, okay, well, you know, now it's time for us. My I not dotted for me.
Right.
My T's not crossed
Nothing
for
in
me.
place. Right.
You understand?
Right.
But just being able to just have a moment, a pamper me moment sometimes is good.
Right.
You know, a me moment is really good.
My kids think I'm crazy sometimes. I just love moments of silence. Just quiet, no music, no
That's
TV,
me.
nothing
That's
feeding
me.
my brain.
That's me.
Nobody saying mom or TD or Mimi or elder, pastor. Just quiet,
Yeah.
where I can hear from God, where I can hear from myself. So when I'm making those decisions, I know that I'm making this decision because it's something God said.
Right.
It's something I want. You know, it's something I actually thought of, nothing I was pressured into or
That's right.
influenced from some type of outside source, because those are the decisions you regret the
Yes,
most.
They are.
Right, the ones that you didn't make, the ones you allowed other people to make for you.
Exactly. Because, you know, if I'm going to take ownership, you know,
Right.
if I'm going to have a hard hit, it better be a hit that I caused myself,
Yes.
not a hit that I allowed someone to cause against me.
Yes.
Yeah, I got
A
you.
calculated decision.
Yes, I
Yeah.
feel you on that. So
Yeah, I
true.
love silence sometimes. It's an art that we get away from because we're bombarded constantly with messages, Facebook, social media, radio, TV, people. You know, this is the age everybody wants to be social, but sometimes
Right.
you do have to pull away
Yeah.
to keep yourself built up,
That's
you know,
right.
and mentally well to deal with what you have to do every day. You know.
Absolutely. I enjoy silence too, Michelle. You know, when my kids get in the car with me, they're like, "Why you don't have?" I normally drive in silence, unless I have a CD in that I want to hear. I normally work out in silence. When I'm power walking, it's just me, no
Right.
music. You
And
know,
my racing heart.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it causes you to meditate, you know, to think outside of yourself, all
Right.
of what God is sharing with you, and you begin to hear from Him clearly when, like you
Yes.
said, when you don't have all of the noise around you, you're able to hear from Him.
Yes, my favorite, absolute favorite scripture, it says that in the presence of God there is fullness of joy. And I know a lot of people like the, you know, bless me, wealth cometh, and all of this other stuff. But if I can maintain a presence with Him, a communion where I can hear His voice clearly, everything else kind of seems to fall in line.
Right.
If there's a hit I'm getting ready to take up the road, God will
That's
prepare me
right.
for it.
That's
If this brother that's hollering at me across the room is not the one, I know it's not, because I heard God's voice say, that ain't him. Or if there's a decision I need to make for ministry, if I need to change something or continue in a certain direction, if I've heard clearly from God, you know, the peace that comes after that, you know, is just so satisfying. That's why I love silence. We don't promote meditation anymore, and even in
love
church, you know,
meditation. Oh my God.
it might be,
I love
you
it.
know, off topic, but you know, everywhere we go now, even in church, it's so noisy. Do you remember that moment in the old Baptist church before service where you had to sit there and
silent and be quiet.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
meditate.
the call to worship is really about. You
right,
know?
and prepare your heart and
Yes.
mind to be in God's presence
Yes.
and just hear Him completely.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, I'm smiling and I'm tickled because I'm thinking about something that you said. You said if the brother across the room hollered at you, you know it's
Oh
not.
my God. Hey, listen, I have a good friend out there. He knows who he is. He tell me all the time, Hubbard, your magnet is broken. Your radar is off. And for a while, my radar and my magnet was off, but it was more of me disconnecting from God. You know, when my mom passed, I was mad. Oh, I was so mad at God. I told the Lord, and I don't know how you talk to God, but I told God, I said, all of these raggedy mamas out here that don't love their kids
I
and not doing right.
understand. Why my
And you
mama?
took my mama? You know, so me and God were on some bad terms. You know, it was mainly me.
Yeah.
God knew what He was doing.
Yeah.
So when I disconnected from God, and I was pastoring. You know, people think you can backslide and you leave the church. I was showing up every Sunday.
That's right.
Opening
That's
the
right.
door, turning on the air, testing the mics, buying the batteries, picking up offering, teaching, reading scripture, laying hands on folk, and I was mad. Mad at God. And when I look at my life outside of ministry, I was making some poor decisions, connecting with folk that I had no business connecting with.
Right.
You know, all I can do is thank God for His grace,
Yes.
because it could have ended up so much worse, allowing that loneliness just to overtake me. God rescued me. He had to snatch me out of that.
Yes.
You know, because I got so deep in it, I didn't know how to come out.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when we get into that time of meditation, just hearing from God.
Yes.
And God speaking to our hearts. A lot of times, that's where the empowerment comes from in meditation.
Yes.
You know, people, you know, I let me tell you guys why we're talking about this meditation and being alone, because Mary Jae and Happy Mary Monday started because I was in meditation. I was going through some deep stuff, you know, dealing with a whole lot, dealing with me. And like you said, doing this for this person, you pouring this, you trying to help this person, you helping this person, calling you, I need you over here, you know, doing all of that. And it was a time that I had to reflect. My little go-to for me is simple. I get in my workout clothes and I go walking. I power walk. A good day for me, for a me moment, is a Subway sandwich, tuna. I would go sit by the water, drink my little bottle of water, and have my tuna Subway sandwich, and just me, okay?
Yeah.
In the me moment, God said, when are you going to have a Mary moment? When are you going to take time out for you?
Wow.
And so I had to carve out of my busy schedule a day for myself, and it was on Mondays. And I would tell myself, Happy Mary Monday.
Yes, I like that.
Happy Mary Monday. Every Monday morning I would go power walking and I would tell myself Happy Mary Monday. And I had to make it, I had to do it on purpose. It had to be deliberate. So I had to take that time out, and I started hashtagging Mary Monday. And every time I would hashtag it, it would remind me, it's time for you.
Yes.
This is your moment. This is your time. Take time out for you.
I like the way you use that word deliberate, because to maintain that, it doesn't just happen. You have to constantly
You have to make it happen.
work at it.
Right.
You know, my arrival to that place where you are was more like an intervention. I was in church preaching one Sunday, preaching my little heart out, and every time I would finish preaching, I would be sick as a dog. So we were having church one Sunday. At this time, we were in the hotel, Chef Mentor Highway. I never forget. A pastor came in, kind of well-known pastor, and I was saying to myself, what he's doing staying in this hotel, mine all over the place. He sat down in the worship. Afterwards came, shook my hand, and hugged me. He talked about how much he enjoyed the word. And the worship, he said, listen, if you don't mind, let me share. He said, the Lord is telling me you're going to have to find a way to disconnect from people and stuff and all of that stuff you're doing. He says, because you're killing you.
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't know how close to dead I was. I was taking care of everything and everybody, and my ears started hurting. I went to the doctor. She's known me almost all my life. I told her, give me some antibiotic. I have an ear infection. She said, girl, I haven't seen you in forever. Let's take some blood. I didn't have none.
Wow.
My organs were shutting down.
Jeez.
I was threatening a stroke. All the little twitches I was feeling, thinking that was just my nervous tics, I was threatening a stroke.
My God.
I left from having an ear infection to sitting in a chair for 2 days with a blood transfusion and all types of tests and all types of things. And while I was chained to that machine, the Lord said, now will you listen to me?
Yes.
I started the process of finding healthy boundaries, you know, doing what God called me to do, but not losing myself in it. Loving my family, being present in the moments, being present at birthday parties, disconnecting from my computer, my books, and all of that other stuff to actually enjoy a moment at Chuck E. Cheese with my wrecking crew, you know. It took some time, but I almost died in the process. And I would hate for another sister, another brother to, you know, I realized that I was giving so much of me because at the end of the day, I was lonely. There was nothing there for me. And I would hate to see another sister or brother just die prematurely in the name of doing something good, but it's all rooted in loneliness. You know. So if I can help anybody, you know, I share that story with people to let them know that, you know, you've got to find a space in life
You have to.
for you.
You have to.
God doesn't get any glory when we
Absolutely
out of that
not.
type of suffering.
Absolutely not. And we're going to talk about that, Michelle. That is so
Yes.
good. That is so good. And I hope you are listening. I hope you're hearing this. We're getting ready to go into our commercial break. We don't want you to go anywhere. We want you to hold on and stay right there, because guess what is getting deeper? We're digging in real deep. We're going to pull it up from the roots, the
Yes.
spirit of loneliness. We're going to break that in the name of the Lord. Thank you. We'll be right back after this commercial break. That was powerful. Yeah, that was good. Absolutely.
Are you looking for a home to live stream your next event? Give us a call here at Bethesda Community Event Center, the only place on the Gulf Coast that can host and broadcast live your wedding reception, your baby shower, business seminar, and any other special event. Give us a call at 504-708-9454 for more details.
Hello and congratulations! You have arrived at the second half. I'm your host, Cinder Coleman Miller. Connect with us every Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. on the New Orleans Talk Network as we discuss issues pertaining to the most exciting and prolific generation of our times, the baby boomers. So for information, resources, and booming entertainment, meet us at the second half, brought to you by the Boomers Lifestyle Network.
I'm living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Happy Merry Mondays. It's your girl, Mary Jae. I want you to tune in with me to Real Talk with Mary Jae on New Orleans Talk Network every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Then follow me to blogtalkradio.com/Real Talk with Mary Jae at 10 p.m. It's going to be a Merry Monday every Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You've just tuned in to New Orleans Talk Network.
Happy Merry Monday. You tuned in to Real Talk with Mary Jae. We're back from our commercial break. It is getting deep in here in the studio on today, on this Dr. King Day. We're talking about lonely but not alone with the lovely Michelle Hubbard on today. Michelle, you were, oh my gosh, you were going in deep before commercial break. Lonely but not alone. Dealing with all of the stuff, going through.
Yes.
Feeling depleted, feeling, that you don't know what's going on with you, and having what you thought was an earache or an ear infection came to be where you didn't have any blood because you were threatening a stroke at the time. So now that was a wake-up moment, I'm sure.
Yes, a wake-up moment. I was raised, my parents, all they ever did was work and go to school and church. Work, go to school and church. Of course, on my dad's side, it was work, go to school and do a lot of social stuff. But all I knew was to keep going. And I would joke with my staff at work. Y'all know I'm coming to work whether I'm sick, dead, or dying. That's not always
It's not always
a
cute.
good
That's not a good thing.
philosophy to follow. And I tell them that. But in my mind, I thought that stopping for me was being selfish. And now that I'm older and I have all these wonderful co-pays and bills in my mailbox from being disobedient, I've learned that taking time for me to take care of my physical health, to take care of my mental health, is being self-full and not selfish.
That's right.
Because if I'm not here to do what God called me to do, then I've missed it.
That's right.
You know, I've missed it. So I'm getting better with keeping appointments and seeing my physician, having my outlet, you know, having those one or two people where I can just talk. Even if I'm not seeking solution, get it out of me.
That's right.
You know, so I can go back, you know, and do what it is God called me to do. People who keep me balanced. Time with my family.
That's right.
Time with my dad. You know, those things, they keep me healthy. One of the therapists on my job who comes to see the children, I was at work working every day, and I covered up the light with some tape, and I had a lamp, and she said, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Because I get migraines, and I can't function." She said, "Try smiling."
Really?
Try smiling. And I started smiling more at work, and I started feeling better.
That's good.
Sometimes you can be so much in your own head and your own whatever you don't have, you forget what those things are doing to you on the inside. Little simple stuff, smiling.
Yeah.
I play now, I sing with the kids. You know, being an administrator in the preschool is different from being a teacher in the preschool.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get to sing Miss Mary Mac and all that other stuff. You got to sign checks and pay bills. But I make time every single day. I stop. I go into every classroom. I have this thing with the kids. They have to love me with their hands, hug me, shake my hand, do something. We sing, we hug, we do something, we dance. I run around in the gym with them. I need to. We do those little things it does something for my state of mind. I can't do anything in my physical if my mind's not there.
That's right.
And my body won't go anywhere my mind won't take me first.
That's right.
So those are little simple things that I do. I'm not an authority. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a psychologist. I've just had a lot of experiences that God has really taught me some major lessons on.
Right. And so have I, Michelle. And
Yes.
you know, and that's why I say the topics that I have on my show, it's topics that I'm passionate about.
Yes.
Because if I'm not passionate about it, I can't talk about it. And a lot of times your passion comes from your experiences, so you already know. You already know, been there, done that. You know, all of this. And so lonely but not alone, the good part about that whole thing is that you're not alone.
That's it.
You're not alone. Never alone. Never alone. You're not alone. And let me say this. Because of the decisions, because of the bad choices, because we give so much of ourselves away to everybody else, and a lot of times, of course, we're sowing seeds and we're doing good deeds because it's our heart.
Right.
That's who we are. We don't know how to do anything but good. It's in us to give it away.
Right.
But then when you are depleted and empty and you're looking for somebody to give back, you know, because you've given that, well, hey, what about me? Where's mine now? Where's mine now, you know? But that's where we are when we feel that we are looking for someone to give back to us because, of course, since we've given, we want to receive. Not that we gave it to get it, but because we have given, okay, so now it's our time to reap. So now that's where God comes in.
Exactly. Because you discover that we look for fulfillment and satisfaction in people.
That's right.
And especially in the spirit realm, when you've been elected and appointed to certain places in God, people will never satisfy you. People will, I mean, you know, you'll get some joy, some happiness from engaging with people.
Right.
But when it's time to fill you, there's only one source.
Only one.
Of fulfillment. You won't find it in marriage.
Right.
You won't find it in friendships. You won't find it in any other type of activity or behavior outside of God. Because He created you, and He's the person that can, you know, perfect you, to satisfy you, to fill you up.
Yes.
A lot of our lonely moments lead us often to people.
Yes.
And you know where that
Wrong
leads us.
people.
Right. And even some well-meaning people. You know, I talk to married people all the time, and I'm like, I don't get it why people can't stay together.
Right.
But they look to each other for satisfaction when they should look to God. You know, people have this theory, my better half.
Right.
But who wants a broken person?
That's right.
You know, you should go into any relationship whole.
That's right.
You know, complete. You know, so realizing that God was the person that could fill me up, it was just like life-changing. A friend of mine said to me one day, Shell, girl, you've been divorced how many years now? She started counting. I've never counted it. I've never sat and marked days off on a calendar. Do I desire to be married? Is it for me? I totally believe it.
Yes.
But one, it's in God's timing.
Yes.
Two, I think God is processing me to make me whole because God knows and Shell knows. I messed somebody up.
Yeah.
You know, I got used to my own space, my own money, my own side of the bed, you know.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a whole different lifestyle, sharing and becoming one. I didn't know who I was, so I was
Right.
going to become one with somebody else.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I was
right.
lost.
Right. You know, I'm reminded of something because I'm saying now we're not alone. And because when we know we've been there, we've experienced these things, and we know that we're not alone. And we go into our prayer closet and we get into that presence with God and having that me moment
Yes.
where he shows us, you know, in the moment of all the
Yeah.
chaos and all of the mess. God will show you you.
Yes.
So instead of pointing fingers and saying, you know, this one, that one, and he should have been there, or he wasn't there for me, or she wasn't there, he shows us.
Right.
Now, this is where the maturity comes from, because I heard you say it.
Yes.
When Joe Blow on the other side of the room come holler at your girl, you're like, nah. See, that's what I'm talking about, because you can be lonely, ladies, gentlemen.
Yes.
But when you know that you're not alone is when you've had that time spent with God to know who you are and know your worth. So just because you're lonely
Right.
doesn't mean that you're just ready to just go jump over here and there and everywhere, you know. Michelle, I was in this building, and I was telling this to a friend of mine. I was in the building. I'm not going to say the name of the building because it's a government building. And I was just sitting there, and there was a gentleman that was waiting too. He was waiting like me. He was waiting on the party that he was meeting with, and I had to wait for the party that was coming out to meet with me. And he spoke to me and said hi, and I said hi. And so he started conversing. Are you from here? I said, yes, I'm from here. He said, oh, so you're getting ready for Mardi Gras? And I said, you know, I'm not that
Not
big on
really,
Mardi
yeah.
Gras. He said, so when is it? I said, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks. Be here in 2 weeks. It's coming early. So what about the balls? I said, well, I'll go to a ball, you know, if I'm invited. It's not like I wouldn't go, but, you know, it's not like I'm excited waiting to go to a Mardi Gras ball, right? So he kept talking. He said, are you sure you born and raised here?
Exactly.
I said, yeah. So he says, okay. He said, are you married? I said, no, I'm not married. He said, hold on, he was doing this. Can I give you my card? Oh, I don't have any cards on me. Can you take my number, or, you know, you look like you'll be a really good friend. And I said, he told me his name. I said, hi, I gave him my name. I said, you look like a really good friend too, but I don't need any friends. Thank you. You know, I don't need any friends.
That's a good little way to put it.
Yeah, I don't need any friends. And he said, he said something about the saints, right? And I guess I didn't give him the response he wanted. And I was tickled on the inside, you guys, because then I told him, I said, say his name was Don. I'm not going to say his real full name, but say his name was Don. So I said, you see how boring I am, Don?
Put it back on you. You don't want me.
You see how boring I am? And he just looked at me and laughed, and he said, okay, Mary, okay. He said, have a good day, you know. You're not into Mardi Gras. You're not really that big on balls. I love balls, don't get me wrong, but it's just not like I'm not overly excited about it in the Saints game. So I thought that was so funny, but it let me know that, girl, you maturing in this thing.
Up.
You're growing in this thing.
You remember the times you were fishing for those compliments,
you know it.
and just
You know
living
it, like,
for somebody to.
Hey, you know, and he's attractive, and he's intelligent.
Oh,
and
my goodness,
you know,
yes.
I don't need any friends. Not in this season. You understand what I'm saying? Not any new friends in this season right now.
It comes with maturity.
Yeah.
And it comes with being connected to God, where your eyes and your ears are open, and you know what's for you.
Yes.
And what's not for you.
Right.
I had a friend of mine in Dallas, and she called me up, and she was so excited. She was talking about online dating. And in my gut, I was like, oh my God, you could get a serial killer, but I didn't say anything. I didn't want to discourage. Maybe that's our journey. And I said, are you sure you're going to go through with this? And I'm not going to call a site because I don't want to give him any props and any free promotion.
Right.
But I said, I don't know. I don't know if I have the courage to do something like that. So I went on the site to see what it was about. But to get on the site, you have to do an account. And I was getting ready to do it, and the computer went out. I said, oh, thank you, Jesus. But then when she called me back and she was getting ready for her date, I said, listen, tell somebody else where you're going, what you're doing. Let them be in the same place or whatever. And she had spent so much time talking to him. She was emotionally invested now.
Yeah.
So her mind was in this make it work mode. And then when she met him, it was awful.
Oh.
It was awful. She called me up. She said, oh, Shell, you were right. I shouldn't have did it. But loneliness can make us do some very desperate things. And you get a little compliment from somebody and you just live off those 2 or 3 little words and ignore all of the negative signs that you see.
Yeah,
Loneliness.
all the red flags.
Loneliness
out there.
will lead you to desperation.
Yes, it would.
I think now in culture they call it thirst.
Thirsty.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. It would leave you in that thirsty place. But as you mature,
yes,
and you understand, because when you go through so much, and you've been broken so many times.
Oh my God.
You recognize this piece looks familiar, and that piece looks familiar, and that piece looks familiar. And right now, I'll pass because I'm good alone right now. I'm good alone. Not saying, and it's not to say that this is where you always want to be. This is not what you always want to do. And I'm not saying that anybody that is single should be good with being alone, but good with being you.
With you, yes.
Good with being with you, with who you are, and all of what God has given to you.
The good thing about spending time with you, you discover what you really like,
right?
Who you really are, what you really want to do.
Yeah.
It was sad for me one day. Every year at my birthday, I read my old cards, I reflect, I look through my journals. And one birthday, I want to say it was around 41 or 42. I woke up and realized that most of the decisions I'd made them for somebody else. I'd made some tough decisions that were mine, but I got married because my mom wanted me to have a wedding. And
yes,
I did this because, I was telling a friend of mine the other day, I'm stepping out into a new venture, something I've always wanted to do, but my parents said, don't do it, it's not a stable career. So I wanted to do something sensible, go into corporate America, go get a degree and do something. But I wanted to go on Sesame Street, and I wanted to do that fantasy type stuff with kids, and ultimately maybe be a stylist or a hairdresser or something like that. My mom was like, no, that's not going to make any money, you won't have no benefits. So I didn't do it. And all of my decisions were based on the fact that I wanted to please my mom. I wanted to please my grandmother.
Yes.
I wanted to please my daddy.
Yes.
And then when I started having kids and running the streets and doing all sorts of things, I was raised in church, so I got to get married. I got this baby, now I got to get married. I got married. I had this big, huge wedding. I wish I had that money back. Had this big, huge wedding because that's what my mom wanted. And I woke up every day next to somebody that, great person. I just didn't want to be there.
That's right.
We were on 2 different paths, and I was as miserable as I could be. And when he divorced me, it was kind of like the best thing that kind of happened to me. So after that, I didn't count the years. I started figuring out what I wanted to do and where I was going to be happy. And I think you have to do that.
You do.
If you're thinking about going into relationships, if you're thinking about being productive, even in ministry. How can you help other people?
That's right.
When you have so many holes in your own soul.
Yes. Yeah. Our stories are similar. Doing what others want to do. I'm reminded of my girl Janet Jackson back in the day. When I was 17, I did what people told me. Yeah, I did what my mother said. I let my father mold me.
Yes.
Did what my father said. I let my mother mold me. That was me.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself with all of these scattered pieces.
Yeah.
Pieces that you are so disenchanted with, and you wonder, you know, you look around and you start seeing all of the brokenness around you, and you're like, oh my goodness.
Right. And then letting the other people shape your identity. Coming up, I
That's
came up
right.
in two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom at the time was born again, real into church.
Mm-hmm.
But all my life I had been there even before my mom came back to church because of my grandparents.
Yeah.
But, you know, my dad was on that social side, so 2 or 3 days out the week, I got to run the streets and see what the other half lived like. But I grew up in church, and when I started feeling God pull me at an early age, and I had desires to do things at an early age that I couldn't understand, people started shaping my identity.
That's right.
My grandfather started making me go to junior deacon meeting, and I was in deaconess meeting with my grandmother and missionary meetings. And then you would hear people say, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and can't wear your hair this way, and you can't do that because prostitutes do this. And so I'm dumbing myself down and doing all of these things because it's what other people wanted.
Right.
And it was, I was going crazy
Right.
on the inside, but I wanted to make everybody happy.
Yes.
You know, and then the product on the outside, nobody really wanted because it was a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I ended up with people who were attracted to what? Mess.
Yes. Yes.
So that was crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that is so bizarre. Our stories are so similar, and I didn't even realize how similar they are. They're really similar stories. When you go through life and you deal with people, and you try to fit because that's how you've been molded. That's what is expected. And a lot of times you have all of this other treasure because you said Sesame Street. I wanted to be on Zoom.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember Zoom. Come on in Zoom.
Yes.
I wanted to be on Zoom in Boston, Massachusetts, and my mom was like, "You're not going way out over there. You cannot leave and do that." But so all of the gifting and all the creative ability, and I got married very young too.
Oh,
and
my
so same similar stories, and so now you're boxed in. And you're boxed in with all of this, and you feel lonely because you have all of this inside of you, and you don't know what to do with it because you've been told so many years that you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go here, you can't wear this, you can't. And so now you got all this in you, and then when you really begin to come to yourself and have that time with God, and He starts peeling back, peeling away all of that stuff. And you realize, wow, there's really treasure there.
Yes.
You mean, God, I could have been using this stuff?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I could have been happy a long time ago.
I could have been using all of this,
Yes.
you know? But we're blessed on today, Michelle, by your presence.
Thank
and
you so
having
much
you in the studio today.
for this free therapy.
To share your story on today, lonely but not alone. I hope you tuned in and you're listening, and I hope it's reaching you right where you are. You tuned into Real Talk with Mary Jae with the lovely Michelle Hubbard on today. We're talking about lonely but not alone. Of course, Michelle, we have about 2 minutes left on the air. Let's tell the people how they can get up out of this. How do they break through out of this lonely state that they're in? I know you started talking about reflecting and spending time with God. Let's tell them how to break through some of this stuff.
My breakthrough came just like the prodigal son. I had to come to myself and realize that there was a better life other than where I was. And once you realize that, you've got to take deliberate steps in that direction if you want to make progress, if you want to actually achieve your goal of being self-satisfied and being self-fulfilled and being happy. You have to make the steps.
That's
You may need some help, but nobody can make the steps for you. You've got to do it yourself. And where you lack strength, reach out to God. And God will put the right people in your life to help guide you along the journey. But you've got to get up every day and do like my friend said, put your eyebrows and your lashes on and get yourself together and make a step towards where you want to be. You got to leave somewhere to get somewhere.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. And I hope you've heard that on today. You got to leave somewhere to get somewhere. I always tell ladies, line your lips, baby. Line your lips, you know. Throw your head back. Walk like you have somewhere to go. You know, you're not in this by yourself. You know, do you. If you have to do affirmations, write those little notes to yourself on the mirror. Beautiful, strong, powerful, anointed, wise, That's who you are, women and men of God. You're lonely, but you're not alone. You're going to rise up and you're going to reach everything that you have to reach for, and you're going to come out of that thing on today. You
Yes.
tuned in to Real Talk with Mary Jae. Michelle, did you have a happy Mary Monday today?
Yes, awesome Mary Monday on this
Thank
MLK
you.
Monday. Yes.
Yes, I had an awesome Mary Monday today, too.
Yes.
Happy MLK Day, everybody. Thank you, Michelle, for coming on.
Thank you so much.